In today's video, we're going to talk about when special interests become avoidance. We're going to talk about how to spot the line between autistic joy and trauma-based escapism. Now, let me say something up front that matters. Special interests are not the problem. They're not selfish, they're not immature, they're not something that needs to be taken away. In fact, for many autistic men, special interests are a lifeline. They regulate the nervous system, they create predictability, they bring competence, joy, and relief. But here's the hard and honest question we're going to explore today. When does a special interest stop being restorative and start being avoidance? Because sometimes what looks like passion is actually protection. And sometimes what looks like obsession is actually a trauma response. And if you're the neurotypical partner watching this, you may be already feeling it in your body. Something feels like it's missing, but I can't put my finger on why. So let's slow this down. No blame, no diagnosis, just clarity. Let's talk about what special interests are actually doing. For autistic men, special interests often serve three core functions: nervous system regulation, identity stability, cognitive safety. When the world feels unpredictable, confusing, emotionally loud, and relationally risky, the nervous system looks for certainty, and special interests provide clear rules, immediate feedback, a sense of mastery, and no emotional ambiguity. There's no guessing, no decoding, no emotional demand. And here's the key distinction most couples miss. A special interest is not inherently relationally avoidant, but it becomes avoidant when it is the only place the nervous system feels safe. That's the line. Now let's talk about when special interests turn into trauma-based escapism. So we're going to talk about trauma, not big dramatic trauma necessarily. I'm talking about chronic emotional misunderstanding, repeated relational failure, feeling wrong or too much or not enough, and growing up without emotional attunement. Over time, the nervous system learns something quietly but powerfully. Connection costs me more than it gives me. So the system adapts. Instead of leaning toward people, it leans towards systems, ideas, objects, or processes. Not because they're preferred, but because they're safer. And that's how you know the shift has happened. Now let's talk about self-reflection questions for ASD husbands. If you're an autistic man watching this, these are not accusations, they're data points. Ask yourself gently and honestly, do I go to my special interest to feel joy or to stop feeling something else? There's a big difference between I love this and I need this so I don't have to feel overwhelmed, ashamed, or inadequate. Here's a question for you. What happens in your body when your NT partner asks for emotional engagement? Is there tightness, irritation, mental shutdown, a sudden urge to retreat into your interest? That urge isn't defiance, it's self-protection. Here's another question for you. If your special interest disappeared tomorrow, what emotion would surface first? Boredom, panic, grief, emptiness? If it's emptiness, that really matters. Another question for you. Are you choosing your interest, or is your nervous system choosing it for you? That distinction is subtle but crucial, because agency feels calm, but compulsion feels urgent. Now let's talk about what neurotypical partners often sense. If you're the NT wife watching this, you're usually not upset about the interest itself. You're upset about the absence, the emotional unavailability, and the sense that something else always comes first. And here's the bind you're stuck in. When you protest, you're seen as controlling. But when you go quiet, you disappear. So let me offer you a reframe that can change everything. Your ASD husband may not be choosing the interest over you. His nervous system may be choosing safety over exposure. Now that doesn't mean your pain is invalid as the NT wife, but it does mean the solution isn't confrontation, it's regulation. Now let's talk about how to encourage healthy engagement without shame. Here's what doesn't work. I'm talking to the NT wives now. Ultimatums, shaming, taking the interest away, or you care more about that than me. Now here's what does work, slowly, imperfectly, but sustainably. Number one, name the regulation, not the avoidance. Try, I notice you seem calmer when you're doing that, rather than saying, you're hiding again. Point number two, invite, don't extract. Instead of saying, "Why won't you talk to me?" Try this instead. "Would you be open to 10 minutes of connection before you go back to that?" Structure reduces threat. Point number 3. Say, "I'm not trying to change who you are. I'm trying to feel closer to you." That matters more than you think. Point number 4. Build bridges, don't burn retreats. The goal is not to eliminate the interest. The goal is to make connection safe enough that it doesn't feel like a threat. Now here's the reframe that changes everything. This is the truth that holds all this together. Special interests are not the enemy. Unprocessed relational trauma is. When safety increases, avoidance decreases naturally. Not through force, not through guilt, but through nervous system trust. So the real question isn't, how can I get rid of that interest that he has, that he's hyper-focused on for extended periods of time? Instead, the question should be, how do we make connection feel survivable? That's the work, that's the hope, and that's where healing actually begins. Now, if this video puts words to something you felt but couldn't name, you're not alone and you're not broken. You're adaptive, and adaptation can be reshaped. If you want more content like this, where neurodiversity and trauma psychology meet, then subscribe. And if you're navigating this dynamic in your own marriage, clarity always comes before change. You can't fix what you don't understand. If you want to go deeper, I have links in the description and also pinned in the comment section. Also, feel free to comment because I read and respond to all comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.